In this tutorial we're going to be building a complete signage setup from scratch, so let's begin. So let's start with screens. Go ahead and click on this plus sign right here, and at our first screen we'll call it screen 1 and set a default resolution of 800 by 600, which is fine, and click next and call it screen division 1 and click finish. So here's our screen division, and we'll drag and drop a couple of regions into our first screen division. Once we've done with the screens, we can go ahead and switch to the resources tab. At this point we'll upload a couple of resources to the server, so click on this plus sign right here and we'll switch to the proper directory where we keep our resources, and we'll select a couple of images and one SWF. Click open and select file, save, and save. This will actually upload the resources that we've just selected onto the server so we can use these resources. When switching between resources, you can preview them and see that they've uploaded fine to the server. Next, we want to create some thumbnails of our resources so we have a better descriptive way of using these resources on the timeline. So we'll click on this camera icon and create a thumbnail for each one of our images and the SWF. You can switch to thumbnails to make sure that everything captured properly. Next, we'll switch to the campaign tab and click this plus sign right here to add our first campaign. We'll call it main campaign. Click next and set our timeline to be exactly 1 minute and click finish. At this point you need to click on the timeline to select it, and we see that our first timeline is empty. So the next thing we want to do is we want to add our screen to the timeline. So under the screens tab, click the plus sign, and you see that our screen 1 is showing. That's the screen that we've created previously in this tab right here. So click OK. And now if we switch to the toolbox, you see that we have our screen that we've created. We can go ahead and drag that onto the screen area. So we have one screen division that's available on screen 1. Next, we'll add some channels. We'll add 2 channels, and click on the resources to drag and drop our resources onto the timeline. The next thing we want to do is we want to assign the channels into each screen division. So we'll click on the screen division, make sure it's highlighted, and drag and drop each channel onto the screen division that we want it to appear at. So we have a total of 2 screen divisions and we have 2 channels. Each channel is assigned to a matching screen division. So now that we've set up our screens and our campaign and timeline, we can go ahead and set our sequencing, which is the order in which a timeline will play. So click on this sequence tab right here and drag and drop our timeline to the sequences tab. This will play our timeline as the default first timeline. This is an important step, otherwise the system will not know which timeline to play. So always remember to switch to the sequences and select which timeline you want to play for this particular campaign, in this case our main campaign. So at this point we've configured everything that we need to be able to view our signage presentation. So let's go ahead and switch back to the timelines tab right here and go ahead and click on player preview. We are just going to run our default main campaign on screen 1 and click play. This opens our web browser, the Google Chrome browser, and you can see that the signage presentation is running. Obviously we're not running in full screen because of this recording, but if you did, this would run as expected. Okay, the last thing we have to do now is configure our Airplay. We just demonstrated the web player, so let's go ahead and just finish up with the Airplay. So we'll go ahead and minimize our application and load up the Airplay. Type in our username and password to register, same username and password you use to log into your Signage Studio. Click next. And you see everything is pre-selected for us, so we'll just click register. Okay, now we can press the play button and start playing our signage presentation, but it will actually be nicer to do that from the studio, from the back end. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that. Click on the Stations tab right here, and you see that we can see our Airplay connected. There's a ready status and the green light LED is on. Go ahead and click on the play button, press on play, and as you can see, our Signage presentation is playing. So this wraps up our tutorial on complete signage in about 5 minutes. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward to build a signage system. A few clicks of a button and you can have a complete signage system ready to run.